Welcome back, everyone. It's your buddy on chat here to bring you another Tuesday theme stream. So, yeah, episode 10, Bourne Identity. And this is going to be part of Tuesday's theme streams. Are going to be the Bourne movies without Legacy because, well, Legacy doesn't have Jason Bourne in it. And so I got my talking points. Do not have any covers or stills, unfortunately. I don't really think it would make much difference in this one. Probably would in a couple areas, but not really, because this movie more reads like a novel than actually a movie, because it actually does very well. I love the Bourne movies, I really do. But these movies are very much directed in a way that is very novel-like. So without further ado, before I get started, or actually with a little bit of further ado, before I get started, if you like my channel, if you want to support my channel, hit the like button, share my content out, watch my playlist. I'm trying to get my watch time up to 4,000 hours so I can get fully monetized for ad revenue. And probably going to take about a year. But also, if you guys... or that's the best way to support my channel. You don't, or super chats are all nice and well, but that's your choice if you want to or not. Goes without saying. My current schedule is Tuesday or Sunday is going to be Tolkien Sundays, where me and my hat crew, or my Fellowship of the Hat, or of the Orange Hat, are going to be discussing Return of the King. And then we're going to be doing the Hobbit movies extended editions. Tuesdays are the Jason Bourne themes Tuesdays. Tuesday night is myself on the Barroom podcast with my buddy or Jacob from Society Reviews and and the rest of the Barroom crew, where we discuss Hollywood stuff and different crap going on in the entertainment venue. This Wednesday and next Wednesdays are ones and twos with Mara Jade on her channel, or Jade Shadow, where we discuss, or we're going to be discussing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the 1990s movies, 1 and 2, 1 and Secret of the Ooze. And the singles, I got The Crow this Thursday, and then next Thursday is going to be Shin Godzilla. Crow, because we just passed Halloween, and it was more of a Halloween movie, but we never got to discuss it, and we really do. And it's a single, so we absolutely love it. As well as Shin Godzilla, because Godzilla -1 is coming out this December, and we absolutely want to watch that. So that is, also Friday, this Friday, I am going to be going live at 11 a.m. Eastern with my friend Nobody or NB Geeks, where we're going to be discussing the 2010 remake of The Wolfman. And Saturday, I believe evening, me and Geek Detective Pierce will be discussing the Batman the Animated Series movie, Mask of the Phantasm, as well as the epilogue to Justice League Unlimited, which ties into it. So without further ado, let's say hello to the chat. Hello, Niazo. Good to see you. Thank you for stopping in. Make sure to leave a like on your way out. But I'm just dropping by to say hello to Orange, and hope you guys have a good day in the chat. Enjoy the stream, and have a good day. Thank you so much for coming in, man. It means a lot. So without further ado, let's now get into the Bourne Identity. This movie is directed by Doug Liman, starring Matt Damon, Franca Potente, Chris Cooper, Clive Owen, Brian Cox, Adewale Akinwumi Agbajdu, and Julia Stiles. So this movie is basically a CIA assassin has failed his mission, and due to failure to communicate and him having amnesia, they think he is a rogue asset gone off the reservation. They think that he is no longer trustworthy. They need to kill him in order to make sure that he doesn't get caught by a foreign power and tell secrets. They don't know he has amnesia. They don't, or They only know that he failed his mission. So one of the things I do like about how this movie starts, it's with him in the water. Doug Liman has a very good adaptation from written word to movie direction. He does it very well. I think that is where he truly shines, because Edge of Tomorrow was another movie that he directed, which was adapted from written medium to visual medium, and he did that very well. This movie is one of those movies of piecing together what happens, and it does a very good job at giving you a little bit of nugget behind Jason Bourne as the movie goes forward. It is really well done, and I really do think that the series was very well put together. Even with the redheaded stepchild that was the Bourne Legacy, with Jeremy Renner, I like that movie. However, November's themes are going to be strictly Jason Bourne instead of movies or shows that surround Jason Bourne. So getting into it, we start off in the Mediterranean Sea, 60 miles south of Marseille, and Jason Bourne is pulled out of the water by this fishing cannery boat. And the doc on board cuts open his hip because he sees a scar, pulls out this laser pointer thing, pulls out the 2 bullets from his back because he got shot twice in the back. And he sees that it's a bank account number to Zurich. And it's like, okay, so what's that about? Well, then Jason wakes up and he can't remember anything. And they do a really good job at playing that up with Matt Damon having or knowing how to speak in different languages. However, he knows how to tie knots, seafaring knots and whatnot. He knows how to do or read a map and nautical stuff very well. He just doesn't know why he knows it. He doesn't know his name. He doesn't know who he is. All he knows is that he knows how to do all the stuff, but who he isn't coming back to him. Why was he found in the water? What was he doing out there? And it's making him very frustrated, which is actually a very good method of acting. One of the cool things I like about Matt Damon is that he actually admitted, he's like, picking locks was not something I was very good at. So they movie magic that. However, some of the driving that he does in the movie, that Jason Bourne does, some of it is him, but the really stunt-worthy parts are his stunt driver. So they let him do a little bit, but not overt dangerous stuff, which is very nice, because when you see the stunts, you want to see, or when you see some of the work, you want to see it done in a way that you can see the face. They don't do that too much in this one with the chase through Paris and whatnot. However, it still does a good job at expressing that Jason Bourne is highly. We then see the chaotic reaction when he wakes up. The CIA we then cut to the CIA at Langley, and they're confirming a mission failure. And we then get to Zurich's, I'm cutting through a lot of some of the stuff, folks. Zurich, Switzerland, where he had that thing in his hip for the bank number. And 2 cops stop him or wake him up in the middle of a closed park. And they end up trying to arrest him because they ask him for his papers, and he's saying it in, I like how he starts saying it in English and then immediately goes to German, which is what they were speaking, or which the cops were speaking. He's like, my papers, I'm sorry, I don't. And then he just starts speaking German, and he speaks it fluently. And then you actually see him like squint, like react, like, oh my God, I just did that, which is very cool because it shows that this guy is fluent Italian or German, French, several different languages. He knows how to speak these languages fluently, Russian even. I mean, Jason Bourne, as we all know, is a super spy. He just doesn't know it yet, which is so freaking great. So when the cop hit their baton on him, he grabs the baton rather quickly, and they're like, "Hey, hey, hey!" And so his body instantly reacts in a very defensive manner. Which speaks to the the extreme training that this man has. If your memory is shot, but your body is reacting in a way that scares you, that means that your body was trained in such a way that it is meant to override even things like amnesia, where your body just reacts like that. So when they hit him with the or put the baton on him, he grabs the baton and then he reads the situation and then just knocks out the two cops, putting them in the hospital, which was explained later. And he also has the gun out, and so he's holding the gun, and he then just realizes what he did. So then he field strips the gun. He slides the rack off and drops the gun and then just runs off. So this basically, it's like, what the hell is going on, you know? So then the CIA is watching a news report of this guy named Nikwana Wambosi, who is essentially blackmailing the CIA because he was taken out of power, or they put him in power. Then he got exiled, and it was all from the CIA because the CIA helped him. And now he's saying that somebody tried to kill him on his yacht. Well, the CIA is now talking, or the director or secretary is basically saying, couldn't have been us. He's saying it's us, but I know that nobody on my senior staff would be that stupid to sanction a botched operation. So we then see Brian Cox, who plays Abbott, and he plays Abbott pretty well in this. He goes to Conklin, played by Chris Cooper, and he's like, was this Treadstone? I don't know, or is you asking me a direct question? Because Treadstone is a classified operation within the CIA to train spies to be as efficient and lethal and field ready in multiple different ways. They are basically sent out to be the perfect infiltrators, super infiltrators, kind of like the Winter Soldier or the Winter Soldiers in Captain America: Civil War, the ones that Zemo killed off. They could infiltrate, assassinate, destabilize. Well, this isn't exactly Jason Bourne's forte. They're just people that are basically given an order, they go out, execute it, and fade right back into public without being detected. They're invisible assassins, essentially. And I absolutely love this premise, even though it is kind of creepy that an everyday person that you know could just kind of be like that, and it'd be like, whoa, shit, I wouldn't want to touch that, you know? I mean, yeah, that is kind of a scary concept, which is very cool as well. It's frightening, but it's also very cool. So we learned that what Treadstone is, and that they indeed were behind the failed assassination on Wambosi. And Wambosi is threatening to do a tell-all. Basically, he's going to name names, and he has the backbone to do it. He also has the resources to do it. He has the ability to do it. So it's like, okay, we need to get his ass dead. So we then get to the bank where he's learning about who he is, and he sees his passport. He's like, okay, my name is Jason Bourne. But then he sees a bunch of other passports, and they have other names on them, like Gilberto Piento, John Michael Caine, Foma Kanaev, Nicholas something. You don't see the last name. And Paul K. And it's like, okay, so this dude has multiple passports. He has multiple different, or like thousands of dollars in multiple different currencies, including US. He has 20,000 in US dollars and multiple thousands of different currencies, like the Russians or Russian currency, French currency, German currency, all of that, thousands of those different currencies. And then he also finds that there's a gun in there. So he takes everything except the gun. He leaves the gun because, well, he's frightened about what he can do. Why would he need a gun? He doesn't really feel like he needs the gun. So he's getting out of there. And as he's walking, or as he's walking along, well, remember, he put 2 cops in the hospital in a park, and they're in ICU because, well, it was also cold there. So they were basically almost frozen to death because he left them alone in the park. So now he's flinching at sirens. He's seeing how cops are recognizing. He's turned around. So he's going in areas where you think it's random. Unconsciously, he knows where he's going. Consciously, when he looks up and sees the American flag and he realizes, oh, thank God, it's a consulate, they're not allowed in. So he's like, I'm an American, and he goes through, and they let him through. And then you see the Swiss police go up to try to go after him. They're like, no, you have no authority here. You cannot come in. And so, yeah, there's a problem there. So now while he is waiting, or we also get a small hint of Marie, played by Franca Potente, and she does a great job in this movie as a bystander who becomes involved in it. And I really do like how she plays the character. Her acting in this movie is actually very well done as a person who is just an everyday person trying to live her own life, but also kind of has a past herself. She's like a gypsy. So she's moving from one place to another. She's basically down on her luck. And she's trying to get a visa to the US. So she's basically kind of screwed one way or the other, you know? And then Jason Bourne sees that there's a ton of security. He doesn't know what's going on, but he has an idea that something is amiss. These people keep looking at him. And so he turns around and he starts to leave. That's when he's called out. And we get the embassy fight. Now, hold on one second. We then see, or they put their hands on him, and the second they put their hands on him is when he goes back into really fast fighting. He is cracking a dude. He's turning another guy's arm around. He's doing all of this, or then puts them on the ground, has a gun in his hand again quickly. And he then sees 2 MPs in the room, makes sure he points it at them so that they will back off. And then he holds on to the gun and starts booking out of there with his bag. Well, as he's going, he stops, or he pulls a radio off of another guy that he stops, or that tries to stop him, and he's listening in on their on the radio chatter. He takes a map for emergency exits off of the wall. So this is all stuff that you think is like, okay, this is pretty smart, but what you don't realize is it's a part of his training. He is using things that he doesn't understand how he knows this, but this is what he is doing, and he's doing it through second nature. A person with amnesia, realistically, I do not think would actually be able to do this, but in this movie, it shows that this man, you would have had to have gone through such rigorous training, pain, physical torture, mental gymnastics to have all of this stuff as second nature. And that is one of the coolest things about this movie. And I really do like how the story, basically, he's breaking out. And so then he gets down and he sees Marie kind of freaking out next to her car. And he's like, I saw you in the embassy and figured we could help each other. And I'll pay you $20,000 or $10,000 to get Paris. And she's like, is this a joke? Is this a scam? He tosses her the money. He's like, this is no scam. You must think I'm crazy. He's like, you'd be crazy not to take it. And he says that in German when she starts speaking German. So, well, now she's giving him a ride to Paris. And I really do like how they handled all of this. And the music during these sequences do a great job at selling the action and intrigue of each scene. The person who scored Jason Bourne, let me check to see who that was, because he did a great job. Who scored the Bourne Identity? John Powell. Okay, so John Powell composed the score for the Bourne Identity. He did a great job. I mean, he was brought in to replace Carter Burwell, who had composed and recorded a more traditional orchestral score for the film, which director Doug Liman rejected. So John Powell coming in to handle this is actually, I'm all for classical score, sure. But the way that he John Powell brought it in was orchestral and symphonic, yes. But he also added a more kind of like a techno twist to it. Not a full-blown techno twist, but definitely one that is very apparent that it's not just a normal score, you know? And I think they did a really good job with that. So now, while they're on their way to Paris, the CIA is going nuts because now they realized, okay, he's alive. He was in Switzerland, and he just put 2 cops in a hospital, tore up an embassy, and now he's fleeing. What is going on? Is it a threat? Is it a warning? What happened? He hasn't called in yet. He doesn't know what's going on. Or he hasn't called in yet. So the CIA is going off worst case scenario. They're like, oh my God, is this dude, or has this guy turned? Because what they don't tell you until later, he's a $30 million weapon, essentially. They spent $30 million in the training of Jason Bourne and others like him. He is an asset gone rogue, essentially. He's a malfunctioning government asset that cost $30 million to make. So there's that. And so they're activating all other assets to basically find Bourne and kill him before he can talk. They fear that he is going to basically out them and essentially be a whistleblower. That is the greatest fear of the government, is whistleblowers. And if Bourne ever did come in and he ever blew the horn on what he is, well, yeah, government would lose, or at that time, the government would lose so much trust, it would be absolutely ridiculous. So anyway, we get to, or we see all these assets, these different guys that are just everyday guys. They check their phone. They see the order is to basically prep an arm and to wait. To keep doing what you're doing, but make sure that you have an arm, or you make sure that you're armed and ready to go at a moment's notice. So you see them checking their stuff, or you see 2 of them checking their stuff, and one of the assets who are goes to one of his his safe areas where he hid his munitions and whatnot. He grabs he's grabbing multiple passports too, so you know he's exactly like Bourne. Great job at explaining that. So then we see Bourne talking with Marie, or rather her just talking an awful lot. And so she stops talking. And he's like, and then what? And she's like, what do you mean, and then what? I've been talking for like last 60 kilometers, and you've only said like 10 words since we left Zurich. I mean, I'm just rambling because I talk fast when I get nervous. And he's like, well, honestly, I didn't want you to stop talking because your voice is soothing, and I get headaches and I can't understand why. So he's explaining that her presence and her voice has a calming effect on him, which is allowing him to relax. He doesn't feel like he is in danger whenever he is around her yet, or when he is with her. So his body is able to relax a little bit more. And psychologically speaking, that's a very interesting thing, because this is a person whose senses are essentially dialed to 11 when he is on a mission. Unknown to him, he is on a mission to find out who he is, so his senses are dialed up to 11. But while he is with her, talking with her, driving or being driven around by her, it is basically shown that, well, he can relax a little bit with her, you know? And she's like, well, you're just going to give me the money and forget I existed anyway. And he's like, how would I forget about you? You're the only person I know. Remember, he has amnesia, and he's honest with her. He's like, fuck it. I can't remember anything from 2 weeks ago or from past 2 weeks. All I know is that I woke up in the water, and I was in Zurich, and everything that happened in Zurich. And now I know all these different things. I don't know how I know them. So, yeah. Now the CIA when the CIA sees the camera of them from the embassy talking to Marie, or Jason talking to Marie, we see Walt Goggins, who is an actor, or a good actor in his own right, but he's in a support role here. He's talking about Marie's background, how she's basically a gypsy moving through the area, or from place to place, or cropping up every now and then. They don't like her because, well, yeah, she's mysterious. And they saw that she was talking with Bourne, so now she is also a threat. So they make sure that they use their operation in Paris in order to, because they know that he's going to Paris. So they know that he is basically, or him and her are a threat. So they put their faces out, different hair colors and whatnot. And these are like from inside the embassy. So yeah, this will come to play later on. And we also are introduced to Nikki, played by Julia Stiles from 10 Things I Hate About You. Thought she did a very good job in that. As the shrew, so to speak. So then we get her. She's basically an analyst and doing the field work, or she doesn't do super field work. She's not staffed for any sort of anything made or more than listening to chatter and computer stuff. That's basically what she is there for. We then get to the diner scene, which is another great scene that I like to focus on. He knows his skills. He's like, who has 6 passports and thousands of dollars in cash and a gun in a safety deposit box? And so he's trying to figure it out, and she's like saying it's adrenaline. I mean, people can do all sorts of crazy things after they've been shot, or if they have adrenaline going through them. And while he's doing this, he's looking at the waitress, at the guy at the diner, looking outside, and then he just comes out and he's like, I can tell you the license plates of all 6 cars outside. I know that our waitress, or I could tell you right now, our waitress is left-handed. I know the guy at the diner weighs 215 pounds and knows how to handle himself. I know the best place to find a gun is the gray cab, or is the cab of the gray truck outside. And as soon as I walk in here, I'm catching sight lines. I'm searching for exits. How can I know all of that and not know my own name? This is such great acting, folks, because it shows that this man has read all this, paid attention, does it very well. And you see that he, or you see that later on when she starts driving him further on, he's, or she really starts to kind of care for him. She looks over at him. She doesn't know what to make of him, but she feels for him. Oh, also another thing that he can do, he's like, at this altitude, or I also know that at this altitude, I can run for a half a mile or flat out before my hands start shaking, which is a nice thing. It's like, wow, man. So when they get to Paris, he's aware of the danger, but he doesn't know why. He's like, okay, just park around the corner, or we'll get there. He gets into the penthouse, and she starts to, or she uses the bathroom, and as he's calling in, and basically trying to retrace his steps, he then suddenly becomes aware of the danger. It's not like a sixth sense. It's just information that he is receiving from the phone calls that he's getting puts him on edge and makes him aware that there is indeed something amiss. So now he is back on edge and he is waiting for something. He's looking around his house, and so she's like, what's wrong? Is something wrong? Well, that's when the California Herod asset that we saw grabbing multiple passports himself comes in, starts shooting, and we get this this super well choreographed fight between these guys. And we see that Jason Bourne is so skilled, he could take a mundane thing like a pen and turn it into a weapon. And one of the things that makes me cringe, even watching this movie, the guy gets gets the pen jammed into his finger or into his hand, like right here. And so when he stands up, he pulls it out, and it's like, oh God, man, it's just so creepy, you know? So we then see how Jason starts winning against the guy, and then he tosses his bag over to Marie, and he's like, look through that, tell me what you find. And so she finds different things, but then she also finds pictures of herself and Jason from inside the embassy a couple days ago. So it's like, where did you get these photos? She starts freaking out, and he's like, let me handle this. You don't want to, or you're not ready for this. Let me handle this, please. And so the guy gets up and then just crashes out the window and jumps, committing suicide. So it's like, she's like, he just went through the window. Okay, who does that? And then she just starts going catatonic. And so he's like, we got to go, like right now. Marie, snap out of it. So she's just like, she just is very out of it. So when he's basically dragging her out, the door woman who brought him in is dead, bullet through the head. And so when they get further out, she ends up puking because, well, she just saw a dead body. Normal reaction, I'd gather. I mean, seeing a dead body, it's like, oh my God, man, that's just yikes. And so then they get out, and so she's looking at the guy the crowd that's building around the dead body that just fell out of a penthouse. And he's like, don't look, let's just go. And I love this next scene because he gets her into the car, and you see that she is freaking out because she's like, well, this is from 2 days ago inside the embassy. Who can do that? Or who is able to do this sort of stuff? He's like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know who that person is. I don't know who I am. All I know is that if you stick with me, you are in danger. He's trying to convince her to go, but at this point, she feels that she's so far in with him that she has no choice but to continue going. And he now sees that cops are starting to notice. They're starting to walk up. He's like, last chance, Marie. And so she nods. You think she's about to leave, but instead she grabs the seatbelt, buckles in, he puts the car in gear, and we get the chase through Paris. Now, I love this chase because they end up going down this narrow alleyway, and he's like, yeah. She's like, what? Yeah, we're going to have a bump pretty soon. And so she's screaming as the car's bumping down the stair, which is so great. They end up ditching all of their pursuit, including the guys on bikes, which is nice. I mean, the action in this movie has such great suspense and action built in. Are they going to get caught or are they going to escape? It really does a good job. And so now that he has gotten out of Paris and whatnot, they call Nikki. She reports in on the failure. He's like, he killed our man. You need to go clean it up. No, I can't. Why not? This is Paris. There's cops. So I just love that too. And she's like, yeah, there's Paris. There's cops. I can't do that. You know, let them take care of it. Well, yeah. So the CIA then does take care of it because they take that guy's body and burn it or kill it and or make it unrecognizable and put it in the morgue. So when Wombosi checks the morgue, he's not or he checks the morgue and he's like, it's not him. This man wasn't shot. So he knows that John Michael Caine was this guy that was going after him because that's one of Jason Bourne's aliases. And so then he hears that he's at the morgue, so he checks the morgue and he reaches in feeling the guy's back. And he's like, it's not him. This man wasn't shot. So now he's even more pissed off that they tried selling that his assassin died. He's not willing to buy that. So we see that the professor, which is one of the other assets played by Clive Owen, he ends up in Paris, and he's looking for Jason Bourne as well. So we see that many players are moving around. Now, Jason Bourne then gets to another place after they ditch the car, and he's like, do you have a scarf for, and she's like, for my hair? Yeah. So then they get up and they dye her hair, and then they cut her hair. And I gotta say, man, when he's holding and he's trying to cut the hair, how she kept a straight face without flinching too much, because it looked like it hurt. It looked like those scissors were basically about as sharp as this fake knife. As sharp. I mean, how were they, or how he was able to cut that hair is beyond me. But you know what? She just had a very adrenaline-packed day. And psychologically speaking, folks, that raises your endorphin levels as well. It allows, or because it's the adrenaline and the dopamine and the endorphins all are freaking swirling up, and you get kind of hormonal because of all that. And well, she doesn't want Jason to do anything except to kiss her. And well, they have a nice little moment. It's not shown, but you basically know what happens. And so we then see Wombosi's at his house, pissed off, holding a gun, telling them, or telling his people, or his people are trying to talk him down. But as he walks by a window, this part wasn't shot very well because you see him get by the window, but then they cut to where he gets, you hear the silenced gunshots and him falling down the thing. That part was not particularly well shot. I will say that that shot was not shot very well at all. And we then see Clive Owens, the professor, is the one that basically took him out, which isn't easy considering it was a private residence and it's daylight, and well, the windows weren't all that, or the inside of the house wasn't well lit. So that guy being able to pop him out of there, or from that window, from that, or from a rooftop a ways away, pretty damn good. Gotta say, it's pretty damn good. Now, we then see that Marie goes into the records building to to get or to the hotel where John Michael Caine was. And I love this because we see the narration of Jason Bourne. I mean, he's like, okay, now what do you do here? She goes over the routine that he has set for her. So then she goes in, she's reading all the sites, getting all the sight lines and whatnot. But then she sees that the guy at the desk that she's supposed to go to is smiling. And so she's like, so when he calls into the lobby where he says he was going to call to her, she's not there. She's outside the phone. And he's like, what happened? What went wrong? Are you all right? What's going on? And she's like, I got the records. Well, what do you mean you got the record? I just went in there. This guy was smiling. So I just asked him, or I told him I was John Michael Caine's secretary. So he realizes all of this elaborateness, all this elaborate scheme to go in and get the records, because he was getting ready to go gung-ho in there. She's like, I just told them I was your secretary, and they gave me a photocopy of the records. And so it's like, okay, that works. So, yeah, it was such a nice scene. It did a really good job at selling it, you know? And so we also then see that Bourne is being set up for Wombosi's assassination by the CIA because Abbott goes in to visit Conklin again, and he's like, Wombosi's just been assassinated. Yeah, we know it's Bourne. He had a mission he had to complete. Maybe now he'll come in. How long? 24 hours. And he's like, well, he better report in 24 hours. Otherwise, we're going to have a problem here. I got the Senate Judicial or Senate Committee breathing down my neck here. And he's like, dude, failure in this regard, we're going to be killed. I don't care about a Senate committee. So, yeah. Bourne is then following his trail again, and he has a meeting with a firm, and they recognize him as John Michael Caine. So he's like, I'm Bourne, but I'm also John Michael Caine. I just had a meeting as Caine. And Marie's trying to talk to him, and she's like, I just found John Michael Caine's body. So they go to the morgue, paying the guy off to look at the body, and it's like, where's the body? The body's not there. His brother claimed it yesterday. It's like, okay, well, we didn't sign in. So I'm sorry. Let me go sign in. He rips out the page of most recent visits, sees Nicola Wombosi went to see John Michael Caine, and nobody else. Well, then they're heading back to the hotel, and they realize they can't go back there because all the freaking police are there. And he's like, we're burned. We can't stay there. And they also reading the paper. She's like, well, my French is lousy. It's something about a boat. And he's like, somebody tried to kill Wombosi on this boat. And the person who was there, was said to have been shot twice in the back. It says I'm an assassin. So now she is put on edge because she's panicking. She doesn't know how to make of this. And well, yeah, we also when they're trying to get away, that's when she's like, get the hell away from me, get the hell away from me, get the hell away from me. He's like, we're in this too deep, Marie. They find you, they'll kill you. And he doesn't know who they are yet, but it's like, these are the people you work for. How do you know they'll kill me? I'm guessing that's how they operate, essentially, is how the conversation went down. So they end up going to her brother Eamon's house to hide out for a day. And the CIA is able to track where they might go with the stepbrother. And, Eamon's suspicious of her, but he's like, we'll be out of here tomorrow. And the next day or that night, she wakes up, he's not there. So he goes and sees that Eamon or Jason's in the bedroom with the kids watching them sleep. He's like, I'm sorry I couldn't sleep. I thought they may have been in danger. I don't want to know who I am. I don't care anymore about my past. I just want to leave. I just want to hide. I just want to, I don't care anymore, you know? And so we then see basically, it's like, what if we just went and hide? We have all this money, we could hide. And well, the next morning, the dog's missing. And he's like, does that usually happen? That dog or that mutt missing a meal? Absolutely not. Well, Jason Bourne has the Bourne tingle. His danger sense has gone off. Get in the basement, or get your kids to get in the basement. What are you talking about? Get your kids to get in the basement right now. Sir, what are you talking about? And so when she pipes up, he's like, Eamon, you better just do it. What have you done? It's not her, it's me. They're after me. Your family is in danger. We should never have come here. I am very sorry, but you need to get in the basement. So he gets into the basement while she's standing out there panicking. Jason Bourne's looking for weaponry. He sees a shotgun shell, so he's looking around the room. Bingo, that's where you would hide a rifle. There's a double-barrel shotgun. And she's like, my brother, my family, this is their livelihood. These kids, the second she mentions the kids, that's not going to happen. I love that. He's like, that's not going to happen. So then he loads the shells, pops out, shoots the propane tank because he knows somebody's out there. He doesn't know who. He doesn't know when, where, or what. But he just knows that that would be a perfect diversion to get out there. So he pops the propane tank with the shotgun, blowing it up. And you see the professor out there with a sniper rifle. He's like, he immediately reacts, but then he immediately goes back in. You see Bourne, and we get this elaborate, what I call the no-fire face-off, where they're moving around in areas where you could barely see each other. And so when they are no longer moving, Bourne fires off 2 more shots and then moves around quickly again and flushes out the professor. And he pops the professor twice. And he's like, who are you? How many are out here? Don't tell me again, or don't let me ask you, or I ain't going to ask you again. He's like, I work alone like you. Or we always work alone. He's like, and then he tells him the word Treadstone, and they said, Treadstone called, said, go to Paris. And he starts dying. He's like, look at this. Look at what they make, or look at what we make. And that's when he dies. So now he knows that Treadstone, he has a little bit more. He doesn't know what Treadstone is or who it is. Instead, he goes in, and Marie's family is getting ready to leave. So he shows up. He's like, you got to go with your brother. Take all of it. Take all the money. I have to go it alone from here. So she finally leaves with her brother, and they take off. He's like, I'm sorry, Marie, but you got to go. So he calls in using the professor's phone. And they're like, code in right now. Who is this? And they're like, Jason, what's going on, man? Or they try talking to him, and Abbott's there, and much to the chagrin of Conklin, because he doesn't want Abbott breathing down his neck. He's like, or who are you, and what do you want with me? And so they're like, Jason, why don't we ask what Marie wants? I don't think she gives a shit. She's dead. Or sorry, how'd that happen? She was slowing me down. Now, I mean, on a level, Jason understands that these people are not going to take any sort of bullshit. So he's like, I want to meet, or Paris, Pont Neuf. You go there at 5:30 p.m. today, and you go to the bridge. You take your coat off and you face east. And you go alone. If I see anybody there, I'm gone. Well, okay. He's in the US. He has to go, or he has to fly immediately to Paris to make that rendezvous. And well, we see that Bourne is scoping out the place. He immediately is finding a bunch of people with different or with earwigs and who are acting suspicious. And so when he sees Conklin stand out there and take the coat off and face east, he ends up calling him. He's like, Bourne, I told you to come alone. Apparently that was too complicated. So here's something. I'm gone. It's like, well, dude, he told you. He's using the CIA's own methods against him. And it's wonderfully done. And so then he goes immediately right up to the freaking van that he knows that they were commandeering, and he puts a tracker on it. And he's also using the professor's gadgets that he had in the bag with him, in his sack with him. And we get to the final bit. And this scene is so freaking great because now he's closing down the Paris operation. He's going to Nikki to shred all the documentation there to help her burn the place, basically not burn it to the ground, but burn the place of all intelligence. Well, a bunch of cars go off outside. We also see that another one of the assets is arriving in Paris. And so we then see the cars stop going off as the people who were Conklin security go to check out the cars. You see Jason Bourne scaling the wall and whatnot, or scaling a pipe into the house. And then we see her alarm system going haywire, and then the power go off, and it's like, it's Bourne, isn't it? He's like, where's your field kit? So he's checking the place, and Bourne's right in there. He's like, you move, you die. Bourne, drop it. And so he's like, who are you? Are you Treadstone? My Treadstone. And I like how Chris Cooper plays this. He doesn't know he doesn't understand that Jason Bourne has amnesia. So he's like, are you freaking idiot? Are you out of your mind? You are so clueless, Jason. You haven't got a goddamn clue. And he's like, I want to know what happened in Marseille. Marseille, you sent me to kill Wombosi. Kill Wombosi? Killing him is easy. Or Nikki could go kill Wombosi. I sent you because you are invisible, because you don't exist. You were in, Jason. You were in. And he's like, I don't remember what happened in Marseille. Bullshit. This is unacceptable, soldier. You are a $30 million weapon, and you are a $30 million malfunctioning weapon. So you picked the place. You set up the meeting. You created the firm. You created John Michael Caine. You were in, Jason. You even picked the boat as a goddamn strike point. And that's when Jason starts remembering everything. He remembers being on the boat, waiting there for 2 days, and having Wombosi at his mercy. Except the thing that stopped him from killing Wombosi on the boat was that Wombosi had his kids with him. And Jason immediately tried aborting because, well, he was there to kill Wombosi, not the kids. And the official story was to make it look like Wombosi was killed by his own entourage. Unfortunately, that was not the case. So we then see how he got the 2 shot twice in the back, and he's like, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm not sure that's a choice you can or you're allowed to make. So then he grabs him, and I love what he says, because he tells him, he's like, Jason Bourne is dead. He died 2 weeks ago. Where are you going to go? Crack. He's not playing anymore. If I even feel somebody behind me, there is no measure of how fast and how hard I will bring this fight to your doorstep. And then he realizes that Conklin's radio is on and triggered to broadcast. So they all heard what was going on, and the team is already moving up the stairs and whatnot. So Bourne has to shoot his way out. And I like how he kicks a body down that he killed and kicks it over to the edge. It's a spiral, or it's a wide spiral staircase going up. So he's going down and he pops one of the guys that's heading up to shoot at him. So then when he lands, well, it does kind of hurt because he's not superhuman. He's just super reflexive, you know? And that is something that this movie actually did very well, is that they made it that he's not a superhuman, but he is super reflexive. So after he escapes, Conklin is also going out, walking, and, well, then there is that asset that arrived in Paris. And he looks up, or Conklin looks up at him, and that's when the guy shoots Conklin in the chest. And we then see that Abbott and Conklin's assistant is like, it's done. Shut it down. They shut down the Treadstone office. And then we see Abbott in front of the congressional committee, and he's like, Treadstone was this and that. Honestly, it was widely overpaid for, extremely expensive, and it didn't yield what we wanted it to yield. And so we shut that down. But what I would like to pitch to you guys is Blackbriar, which is important because Blackbriar comes to play in the next movies. So, yeah. We then see Marie has a scooter shop, and Jason Bourne is in there to purchase a scooter. And so she turns around and sees him, and she's like, you have ID? And we see the smile there, and so he's now with Marie. Now, there is a deleted scene or an alternate scene where Abbott actually finds Jason Bourne, and he's like, you don't have to worry, I'm not here to hurt you. He's like, just want to let you know we're sorry what we put you through. This was going to be a scene that was in case the movie didn't perform well. Basically, Abbott is telling Jason, you can be on your merry way. We are not going to pursue you any further. You can be with Marie. She's running a little scooter business. And that was what was supposed to be if the movie didn't fail. That was basically the alternate ending or scene that was put in case the movie didn't get its sequel, which we all know is no longer the case. And also, Abbott is a lot more, shall we say, corrupt in the second one. So with that being said, that will end this Tuesday theme stream with the Bourne Identity. Objectively, this movie is very well done. I would say about an 8.5 to a 9 out of 10 objectively. It has great action. It has great writing, great script, Doug Liman is a great director. I like his work. He has a way of directing in a manner that takes a script medium or a written medium and adapting it very well to the visual medium. And I really think that is well done. So objectively, yeah, this movie is about an 8.5 to a 9. Subjectively, I really love the Bourne series. Bourne Identity is a slower pace movie, but once it kicks off well. So I will put it at a 9 out of 10. Moviegoer. This movie is a 9.5 out of 10. It's slow in the beginning, but it slowly builds up, and it really does a great job as it does. So that was definitely a 9.5 out of 10. Anyway, folks, thank you so much for tuning in. Remember, I got the Barroom Podcast tonight at 9 on Society Reviews channel. We will be discussing all sorts of insanity from the entertainment venue of Hollywood and sports and whatnot. Make sure you guys tune into that at 9 p.m. I will be on Odin's channel or in the chat modding from 7:30 to around 8:50 because I'm his king mod there. So make sure you tune into OMB Reviews channel tonight at 7:30 p.m. And yeah, tomorrow is Wednesday, so I'm going to be watching or I'm going to be watching Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and possibly get a video out for you guys for Wednesday. But then me and Mark are going to be discussing TMNT 1 from the 1990s. And Thursday is singles for The Crow. Friday is Wolfman. Saturday is Geek Detective Pierce's channel, where we will be discussing Mask of the Phantasm and the epilogue to Justice League Unlimited. Anyway, folks, thank you so much for tuning in. Y'all have a freaking amazing day. Thank you, Neozoic, and anybody else who was in the chat but never said anything. But that's okay. Y'all are freaking awesome. Y'all have a wonderful day. And always remember, stay humble. This thing has not ended yet.